Alright, I'm back. I wanted to do just kind of a short video to talk about 5 reasons why you should either travel to or move to Serbia. And now I want to talk about the first thing, which is discussing how free it is over here. I don't think a lot of people realize that, like, during COVID, you know, most of these countries just locked down. They had a lot of restrictions, need to get the vaccine, PCR, you can't even travel or anything else. This is actually one of the few countries that had like little to no restrictions during COVID. I think there was a short lockdown in the beginning, which is understandable. We didn't know what the coronavirus it was or anything like that. And then there were some protests about the lockdowns, everything opened, and it was one of the few countries you were able to travel to if you just had like a PCR test. What's amazing about this place now is that there's no requirements. All COVID requirements are gone. So no PCR, no nothing. You're just free to travel over here, which is amazing. And just the environment and everything else as well. No one judged you if you were vaccinated or not. No one really cared. You just took care of yourself, and then that was that. Just kind of everybody lived on. I've heard that there was some requirements for like a week for restaurants and with COVID and stuff. I showed up like right after like that happened. I don't know how long it happened, but the restrictions were very limited and basically non-existent. And if the restrictions were there, it was for a very short time. So yesterday or the day before, I believe, they just cut all the PCR requirements and everything else. So that's the first thing that was really important to me, is the freedom of traveling and being around this country. The next thing that I think is really important is the people and the environment around here. And when I say the people, I mean you meet some of the nicest and friendliest people here. People here are very welcoming. I've never really felt uncomfortable meeting new people here. And also for tourists as well, as an expat like I am, there's a lot of groups and a lot of events that are basically set up for the expats around here. So almost any time during the day there is something happening, and if you have kind of a open schedule like I do, you could take off an hour or two, go hang out, meet some new people, have some fun, grab a beer or something, and come back to work and have no issues and stuff. Everything's so close. So that's what makes it really, really beneficial for Belgrade especially as well. Almost anywhere you could get within a 5-10 minute bus ride or like a 15-minute walk. Also, things are very, very safe here. I've never felt uncomfortable walking around at night, during the day, or almost in any part of Belgrade or Serbia for that matter. There probably are some places I haven't been to that's probably a little bit more unsafe, but that's just kind of how it goes for any country or any city like that. The weather is great. Usually it's a little windy and cloudy right now, but I'm wearing shorts and a shirt and I feel perfectly comfortable. The nightlife is great, and I don't know, people are not too divided when it comes to politics too much. You could generally talk about a lot of things. I wouldn't go around spewing a lot of anti-Serbian things or talk about things that have been a little controversial in history. Things like 1999, Kosovo, NATO, and things like that. I wouldn't take a too aggressive like approach to these things, but what I've noticed about the younger generation is they're a little bit more open and willing to talk about it. The older generation, who definitely lived through it when they were living in Yugoslavia and had the conflict with NATO, I don't know, they're very sensitive on those things. I'm right next to one of the bridges that got bombed. I'm right next to a bunch of other places that have been bombed as well. So it's sensitive for people. And a lot of people my age were very young when it was happened. I was very young. It happened in 1999. And so I was 9 years old. You know, I really don't remember much around then, but the people who are a little bit older than me, they take a much more pro-Serbian approach to it, and more of an anti-NATO approach. Understandably, they lived through it, they saw the horrors that happened. Again, I'm not going to get political and pick a side or anything like that, but you have to know where the people of Serbia are coming from. So, you know, you could probably talk about it if you know how to approach it, but don't go spewing, you know, pro-NATO things and trying to get a rise out of people. Just not a good idea. And also, don't be like this other YouTuber that I've consistently called out. I'll show you him right now.
Bruh.
So going out to a restaurant or, you know, I don't know, just kind of like anywhere, going out for a drink, coffee or anything like that, can be expensive if you regularly go anywhere in the West, United States, Canada, or anything like that. The prices are just crazy expensive and it adds up really quickly. But here, the prices, if you're traveling from the United States, if you're traveling from UK or anything else like that, prices are going to be very cheap. So the price of doing things here, eating things, drinking and everything else is incredibly cheap. And it's really nice for the locals, especially if you're coming to visit, you're giving them dollars. Usually you will exchange it and stuff like that, but they really appreciate the dollars and euros here. So helping their local economy and everything else, I think is very important for the Serbian people, especially for tourism right now. As you can see, incredibly sunny and very, very nice. And I recommend, if you're gonna go to a cheap country, try out Serbia. It's very, very close to many countries over in Europe, only a couple-hour flight. And yeah, it's well worth it. So if you want to go out and party all the time, go out and do some cool things and stuff, Serbia is your place to go. You don't need to go travel far over to Thailand or India or anything like that. It's still much, much cheaper than many of the Western countries, and you're gonna have a good time and great price. Now, as you can see where I'm probably going to get at, the next one is the history and architecture. The churches, the fortresses, the old Soviet, Yugoslavian buildings, they're just all amazing. And every church that you look up, you could look up on Wikipedia or Google or wherever, you're going to see a lot of fascinating things about these churches. What I've noticed, like a small kind of funny trend, is there was actually a lot of church dealings with assassinations of leaders and generals and stuff like that. So you'll see these beautiful churches, and sometimes you'll look it up, and sometimes it will have a dark history, which is, you know, kind of comical and stuff. But the history and the architecture and just everything you learn here is just so fascinating. And it feels like you walk, I don't know, maybe up to 5 blocks and you'll just see a random church, a random building, or just things that will just kind of blow your mind. And you know, we don't really have that too much in America. Again, we're kind of a younger nation comparatively to the rest of the world, and Serbia is a much, 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 much older nation. And the things that you will learn here just will fascinate you, and it's just aesthetically pleasing. I mean, I'm standing next to probably one of the most beautiful churches here over in Belgrade, and I just love it. It just improves my mood, makes me feel better, and it's just a big perk of either living here or visiting here. incredibly beautiful. Unfortunately, these are one of the churches that you can record in. Very, very, very big touristic spot with the church over here. So I'll put more information here in the description. The last one, the last reason, is the amount of countries that we're surrounded by. Now this is kind of a little bit more for people who decide to move here, but say if you travel here for a couple weeks and might get bored or something like that. I don't know. I don't doubt you would, but there's a lot of other countries that you could go to. Serbia is surrounded by, I think, 7 countries. Let's see, we have Croatia, we have Bosnia, Montenegro, Albania, Kosovo, sorry, Serbia. We have North Macedonia, and we have Romania, and we have Hungary, and Bulgaria. So I think 9 that we're surrounded by. You could easily Google this and just check around the other countries that are nearby. But what's nice too is that Serbia is such a small country that it only takes about anywhere from 2.5 to 5 hours to go to a different country. The closest to Belgrade will be Timisoara, which is right over in Romania. And can't really tell you what's next, but you could play around on Google Maps, figure out, you know, what's the best way to travel to get to by bus, train, or airplane. But yeah, there's a lot of places that you could go around too. So if you want to go take a weekend to go over to the beach in Albania or Montenegro, go right on ahead. So you'll have a lot of things to do surrounding, which a lot of other countries don't really have. If you're, you know, stuck in the middle of Germany, if you're stuck in the middle of, you know, a lot of these other like bigger countries and stuff, it's going to take you a long time and a lot of money to do it. But realistically, if you want to go to Romania for a day, you could do a day trip if you want to like squeeze it in. It might be stretched a little thin, but even a day or a weekend is perfectly fine. So those are the 5 top reasons, in my opinion, why you should either travel to or move to Serbia. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the subscribers, the support, and everything else. I'm going to be doing a pretty cool long trip down over to Macedonia, probably. So I'll keep you guys updated, but I'm really excited to go do it. Going to travel through Kosovo, maybe to Niš, Kosovo, and down through Macedonia. So keep you guys updated. But again, thank you for the support. Like and follow, blah, 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 all that stuff that YouTubers saying. Thanks for watching. See you guys.